Not that it's all gone. Maybe it's a muscle I've let atrophy. Time to trade then. I'm kind of obsessed with the idea of keeping a notebook, but I'm not very good at keeping a notebook. And by that I mean I don't write in a notebook throughout the day like I wish I did. And I know one reason why that is because when I've tried to write in a notebook, so often I just write about I don't know what to write. But today, forced myself to try again, and I got somewhere. At one point, I started questioning myself in the notebook, or pushing back on what it was I was writing. And what that spawned was like a conversation with myself, which maybe is weird, but was really fun, is really fun, because it pushes me to cut the bullshit and to dig deeper. I am back at work, and for the first time that I can remember, I'm excited to be back at work. I came in today with all these ideas. I'm gonna make one short form video a week. I'm also gonna make a motion graphic social post a week, and then every 2 weeks I'm gonna make a long form video, and I have an idea of what the production schedule should be, and even things like the newsletter I write or the podcast I host. I'm gonna figure out what are the visual assets that I can pull from these to make into videos or social posts. But right now I just have the ideas and the ambitions. The hard part is gonna be executing and making the time to execute. So hopefully when I check in tomorrow, I'll have made some headway on that front. I honestly didn't know if I was going to get around to making that animation, just because I didn't need to make it. It's not for the newsletter that I write or the podcast that I co-host or even like the long form videos that are part of my job. It's a bonus thing. And in the past, I think I would have thought, now I'm just doing extra work. Which is true, it is extra work, but I think what I realized when I was on vacation last week is that just because I associate something with work doesn't mean I can't enjoy it, because I like working. And now that more and more of my work is making videos is something I enjoy. And so even if I'm just doing it for work doesn't mean I can't enjoy it, because I did enjoy making that. And I know the more I make time to make things like that, the more of my time that I spend on work will be on things like that. Because I think really the thing I'm trying to work on is just doing a better job of making sure my time is well spent. And that was well spent. ever since Sunday. Sunday was the first time I ever wrote about work, like actually thinking about work, actually thinking about the things I think about for work in the notebook. And ever since then, writing in the notebook's been easy and enjoyable. And so I think my problem for years was kept work at a distance, when it turns out what I actually wanted to do was embrace work. My work is what I want to be thinking about. Case in point, I was reading this article about AI and tech stuff, which is related to my work, and it got me thinking. And instead of just having that thought and then moving on with my life, I thought, let me jot that down in the notebook. And I fleshed out the thought even more, and I hope to research it now and think through it even more deeply. But if I hadn't have jotted it down in the notebook, I don't know that I would have gotten that far. So I guess work is what I enjoy thinking about, to the point that I am finally keeping a notebook as I've been wanting to do. And so I guess also, at least for this week, work is what this vlog is about as my ultimate notebook. My inclination is to think that's kind of sad, but I think that's just because I'm conditioned to think, work, job, bad. Money good, but job bad. But I think what I'm realizing is, at least for me, not bad. Work, fun. Huh. So I started this notebook on May 18th, 2020. I wrote in it a good amount in 2020, this much in 2020. But then I didn't write in it again until March 8th, 2023. And I wrote in it in 2023 a bit, but only this much. Then I picked it up again February 19th, 2024, and I wrote in it until here. So 2024, actually I wrote a little less in 2024 even than 2023. And then this year, February 2nd, 2025, I picked it back up and I wrote this much until this week when I picked it back up. And this week alone, I've written this much in it, which feels like more than what I wrote in any year except for 2020. So I've written more this week in the notebook than I have the past 2+ years. And really the only difference is that I kind of stopped caring what I write in the notebook, because I shouldn't care what I write in the notebook. I used to write fiction, which was good, but it got to a point where I was overthinking it. And then every time I'd write in the notebook, I was writing for some kind of audience. But this week when I picked it up, I was just writing for myself again. Actually, it wasn't even that I was writing for myself, I was writing to myself. This week, so much of these entries have just been conversations between me and myself, which has been the fun part and the biggest difference. Because what that's meant is the notebook now feels like it's my companion in a way, whereas before it felt more like a workbook, you know? So I'm set to finish filling out the notebook I've been writing in all week. This is a notebook that I had started in 2020, and it took 5 years to fill out, but I'm finally filling it out, which for me means, oh, now I can move on to a new notebook. And I have 2 notebooks that I had purchased that are my candidates for this next notebook because I have a weird obsession with notebooks. But there's my problem. I collect these notebooks, but I don't write in them or sketch or what have you. And it's a broader issue that I have of I get really into tools, especially creative tools, whether that's camera gear, editing software, Blender add-ons, notebooks. But I get so wrapped up in collecting the tools and what I could use the tools for, and oh, I should get this tool because this tool will enable me to do this thing. But then I don't really use the tools, or I do, but not to their full extent, or just so that I can use the tool as opposed to being more interested in what I'm using the tool for. In the case of the notebook, what is this tool for? Thinking. And so I'm sitting here trying to decide, do I choose this notebook or that notebook as my next notebook, as opposed to just pick one and fill out the notebook. And as soon as the notebook's filled out, I can go on to the other notebook and fill that one out, and then I'll know which notebook I prefer. Although what I'm hoping is at some point during that, I won't care about the notebook itself, and I'll just care about this practice of thinking and creating. And what tool I use is secondary to that and just in service of that. And maybe it's just that's the intimidating part, that getting preoccupied with the tools is a way to procrastinate from the hard part of creating, of thinking, of making something. But I don't know that that part has to be hard. I mean, the thing that happened on Sunday and Wednesday of this past week is I sat down with the notebook and I just wrote. I just thought. I just got into conversation with myself. And it was a lot of fun and really helpful. And I filled out a lot of pages in the notebook. And sorry for getting meta, but it's also like this right here. I really enjoy making videos. I like the idea of making videos. And yeah, of course, I like playing around with all the tools I have at my disposal to make videos. Where I struggle most is, what am I saying in these videos? Either literally like right now or just through the things that I capture and the way that I edit them together. But most of all, when it comes to what do I actually literally say in the videos. But right now, this thinking out loud is helpful. It's hopefully helpful to whoever's watching this. Thank you for watching this. But it's also helpful for just me thinking through my shit, which is the same thing I do in the notebook. And so maybe it's like a self-sabotage kind of thing. That thing of some part of me knows the hard thing is going to be good for me, but makes it feel hard so that I don't do it because that's the easy thing, not to do something. And so I think I need to start recognizing that as such and reframe the hard thing as the right thing, or the fact that it's hard being what makes it enjoyable. It's like how I get with working out, where at some point I get into the workout and I'm sweating and the heart rate's up and it's tough. And that's when I shift into some gear where the hard part becomes the enjoyable part. The suffering doesn't feel like suffering. The suffering feels like I'm showing myself how much I can suffer, how much work I can put in, what I'm really capable of. And I think that's how I need to think about the notebook, or like really my creative practice overall. This vlog, it's me showing myself how much work I can put in. It's me showing myself what I'm capable of. It's me finding that out for myself. And I think that's the fun part. It's the self-discovery. Like probably a lot of people, maybe most people, it's fun to learn about yourself. And so with the notebook, that's an opportunity to learn about myself. Maybe the best opportunity. So in that case, it's like, why hold myself back? That's all I got.